And now let's talk about. I mean, it could be safe to say that I don't know. It's hard. Just real quick, what do you think was the bigger upset, Melbourne and GWS or Gold Coast and Richmond?
Oh man.
It's two different reasons side of these games,
Honestly,
right?
GWS Melbourne. If
Thank
if
you.
if
Yeah.
if, if well, I said in the preview, I said
Mm-hmm.
I think keep an eye on Gold Coast because I really, really think Gold Coast has a chance. Richmond's injured. They've got way too many injuries in the worst part of the ground, the defensive side of the ground, which really structures up their team, which allows them to get their pressure game going. Melbourne has been so consistent this year that I think this one did baffle a lot of people. Yes, GWS is talented. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
GWS has a ton of skill. But GWS, I mean, let's be honest, they poo-pooed the bed when they play when they last played.
Well,
So I
the
mean,
last
you
two
argue
rounds, let's say a
that
draw against
you
Northern
fall to
Melbourne,
Hawthorn.
you know, it's not easy.
Exactly. Well, so you take that into effect. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
a draw, and then you lose to Hawthorn, who's 17th on the ladder. So a lot of people were kind of like, well, GWS lost their opportunity. And there it is again. GWS finds a way when their backs are against the wall. They need a win. They're against team. Nobody gives them a chance to it. They pull out the victory that they did. I mean, now the tables are almost reversed a little bit. Now all the pressure now is okay. What's wrong with Melbourne? Melbourne
Mm-hmm.
has played so well this year. Now the doggies have passed them. The doggies are ahead of them.
Well, it's
Yes,
almost
it's by
like what we were
percentage.
talking
I know,
about going into
but
this game last round, and the problem that they were having last round. Just real quick to get into this game before we get the full blown tangent. Of course, we're on to Melbourne and GWS. The Giants take an early lead on this one, and they really put it on Melbourne in the second, and they don't trail for the last three quarters, pulling out this huge upset. And the thing we need to talk about is something that we brought up last round, in that there's no denying the talent of that defense of the D's. Okay, it is the best in the league, and it's hardly getting in. Almost no one compares to them. But they've been so inconsistent in their offense and their goal scoring, and it's really been hurting them. And one of the things that we talked about last round is that I mean, it looks like they're really missing that key guy that they count to score, and maybe that's Ben Brown. Ben Brown's still not in this game, and it's obvious that they need him back sooner rather than later. Of course, you don't want to rush his return, but they're missing because I mean, yeah, the defense is great. They're forcing a 9-10 against a team with really good goal scorers, especially Toby Green. He finishes with three, but it's still most of that team was limited. But there's no real stand up for them, and their goal kicking was bad with 7-13. That's not going to get it done, especially not against the top echelon teams. But at least here for GWS, man, they're able to pull it off. I guess one guy that you want to throw out there, and the guy that really worked hard this game for Melbourne was Bailey Frisch. He finishes with three goals behind the total disposals and a couple of really damn good marks. So he was there. He's been the guy that's had a couple of shining games this season, but not really a consistent score that they might be able to rely on. But obviously, GWS now they break into the top eight on the back of a Richmond loss. They're 2 points ahead of them now at that eighth spot. They control their own destiny. I really think that their success is obviously going to come down to Toby Green. But I think Himmelberg is going to be like that little duo with Green and Himmelberg with the scoring. It is going to prove huge. Himmelberg might be kind of that dark horse guy that they're going to need to rely on come finals if they do make it. And now on Melbourne though, you're looking like you might possibly drop out of the top four.
that's the big one of the big questions that a lot of the roundup shows that I've watched online they've been talking about
Yeah.
is Melbourne feeble enough now to potentially even fall out of the top four? And now there's selection questions. Does Ben Brown come in? Does Jacob
Mm-hmm.
Wiedering come back in? Does McDonald drop? How is their forward line going to work if Ben Brown comes in? Well, I've said numerous times, I think Ben Brown might be the answer, not for the pressure, but for the consistency in his goal kicking,
Mm-hmm.
because the old Melbourne is starting to rear its ugly head. Inconsistent goal kicking going forward past one or two players. And Ben Brown is a consistent 60 goal kicker when he played for North. I understand he's not a great pack player. I understand that. But right now, you need a consistent goal scorer because you're not getting it. Bailey Fritsch is not going to be able to kick 3, 4, 5, 6 a game. He's not that type of player. He's a really small forward, but he's kind of a role player. He's not exactly the constant goal kicker. McDonald's played well, but McDonald's goals have dried up because teams are taking him away.
Mm-hmm.
You bring in Ben Brown, first the first top defender is going to be on Ben Brown. That's going to open up McDonald, and that's going to open up Fritsch even more because Fritsch is going to get a lesser defender. I think that's going to change the team. Seen so many people say Jacob Wiedering. Jacob Wiedering can sometimes disappear in games that he needs it. I think Ben Brown comes in. I think he gives them a consistent 2, 3, 4 goals a game, and I think he helps right this ship. But is it too late? Are already the questions being asked, or have they already kind of, okay, Ben Brown, we tried him, he didn't work a couple weeks, is he going to be kind of one of those write-offs at the end of the year where they try to deal him after the season because it didn't work, or they brought him in, which then makes me go to the list manager, why did you bring him in the first place if he wasn't going to fit the style of game play? I don't mean to be mean, but that does not make any sense. Why would you bring in a player that does not fit your system at all?
Yeah.
You don't understand that at all. I think you bring him in, you let him play a couple of games. If he bombs, put him back into VFL, bring up Wiedering. I don't know, but I'm a Melbourne fan. I'm a tiny bit concerned because this is 4 weeks in a row now. Their scoring has been limited. That's being kind. Yes, a couple of those games, but this is the wrong time to do this because teams are starting to play better. They're starting to progress. You want to get better as the season goes on, not worse.
Man, those defense, it's a weird predicament to be in because one, you're still one of the best teams in the league, but at the same time, there's a little bit of worry that you might be dropping out off the cliff of the top four, so that's definitely going to be something that you're going to follow along as the season progresses into these last handful of rounds.